Hello and welcome back to your weekly AI news report. I'm your host Arun. New flagship models from OpenAI, Meta building its own AI chips, a record-breaking stock debut, Apple suing OpenAI, a wave of new AI laws in US and Europe, and a special segment on how everyday people are using AI to change lives for the better. Let's get started. First up, OpenAI has fully released its GPT 5.6 family. And instead of one all-purpose model, they split it into three. All is the heavyweight, a reasoning model built for the hardest jobs like advanced coding, scientific research, and cybersecurity. Terra aims for the middle ground, balancing cost and performance for everyday business tasks. And Luna is built for speed when you need a fast answer more than a deep one. What makes it significant is that these models passed a US government security review before OpenAI was allowed to release them broadly. This ends months of limited gated access. In simple terms, OpenAI is betting that businesses want a toolbox of specialized models, not one model that tries to do everything at once. Next, OpenAI also launched ChatGPT Work, and this is a good moment to explain the difference between a chatbot and an agent. A chatbot answers your question one at a time. An agent takes a goal, breaks it into steps, and carries out the whole job on its own. So instead of asking ChatGPT to write one paragraph, you could ask it to research a topic, pull data from your files, and hand back a finished spreadsheet or slide deck, all without you managing each step. It's powered by GPT 5.6 and can reach across a user's connected apps to get the job done. For now, it's rolling out to pro, enterprise, and education users first. This is part of a bigger trend. AI moving from answering questions to actually doing office work. OpenAI also rolled out GPT Live, its new generation of voice models worldwide this week. Here is the technical idea in plain terms. Older voice assistants are like half duplex, like a walkie-talkie. One person talks, then releases the button, then the other responds. GPT Live is full duplex, like a real phone call, where the AI can listen while it is still speaking, and you can jump in and interrupt it naturally. While it talks, it can also translate in real time, check the web, or hand off a task all mid-conversation. Two versions, GPT Live 1 and a smaller mini version, are now the default across iOS, Android, and the web. The goal is simple: make talking to AI feel less like using software and more like talking to a human. Okay, we are done with OpenAI. Now let's talk about Meta. Meta had its own agent news this week. Muse Spark 1.1. Think of it like this. Instead of one AI worker doing a task, Muse Spark acts like a project manager, coordinating a whole team of smaller, specialized AI agents to get a bigger job done. It's aimed squarely at software engineering and computer interface tasks, things like writing and testing code or navigating apps on a screen. The goal for it is to handle long, multi-step developer work without a human checking it at every stage. Meta is pricing it competitively for outside developers, which tells you that they want this to scale fast. This is part of a bigger shift in AI, from a single chat window to team of AI agents working together like a digital workforce. Now to the money and infrastructure side of AI, starting with Meta. The company will begin manufacturing its own in-house AI chip called Iris starting this September after successful testing. Iris is part of Meta's MTIA family. Why does this matter? Right now, most AI companies buy their chips from outside suppliers, mainly NVIDIA. By building its own, Meta gains more control over cost and supply. To put the scale in perspective, Meta is targeting 7 gigawatts of AI computing power this year and doubling that to 14 gigawatts in 2027. That's roughly enough electricity to power millions of homes just to run AI systems. Meta has also locked in long-term deals for memory, storage, and fiber optic supply. This is a company trying to control its own AI destiny instead of depending on others. South Korea's SK Hynix just pulled off the biggest debut of its kind on NASDAQ, raising $26.5 billion. That is a record. So what's driving this? Demand for something called HBM, or high bandwidth memory chips. Here's a simple way to think about it. A computer chip that does the thinking is only as fast as the memory feeding it data. Regular memory is like a single lane road. HBM chips are like a 10-lane highway, moving huge amounts of data to the AI processor without a traffic jam. Every major AI data center needs them. SK Hynix says shortages of these chips could last towards the year beyond the year 2030, which tells you just how far demand for AI hardware is outrunning supply right now. Chinese AI company MiniMax is going after roughly $2 billion through a mix of new stock and convertible bonds to fund infrastructure, research, and global expansion and AI agent products. This is part of a much bigger wave of Chinese AI companies raising money right now, but investors reacted negatively. And here is why in simple terms. When a company issues a lot of new shares, each existing share represents a slightly smaller slice of the company. That's called dilution. And it is why the stock dipped, even though the fundraising itself signals strong growth plans. Bottom line, the global AI funding race is not just a US story anymore. Cloudflare opened the waitlist for something called Monetization Gateway. And this one is a bit different. It's a payment system built specifically for AI agents, not people. It runs on a new protocol called the X402, designed for microtransactions, tiny, instant, low-fee payments that happen automatically. Here is why that matters. Right now, AI systems constantly scrape websites, articles, and datasets for free. This gateway would let a website automatically charge a small fee every time an AI agent grabs its content. In effect, Cloudflare is trying to build a toll booth for the AI economy, giving creators a way to actually get paid while their content feeds AI systems. In corporate and legal news, Apple has filed a federal lawsuit in California against OpenAI and two former Apple employees. Apple's complaint alleges that trade secrets tied to unreleased Apple products and hardware designs were misappropriated to help OpenAI's push into consumer hardware. The complaint describes coordinated efforts, including shared confidential information during job interviews and continuing to use Apple work laptops after leaving the company. Now, it's important to be precise here. These are allegations made in a legal filing. Nothing has been proven in court yet, and OpenAI has not had its response covered in this reporting. What we can say factually is that this lawsuit escalates tension between two of the biggest names in tech. Now let's get into regulation. And there is a lot this week, starting in Illinois. Governor J.B. Pritzker signed Senate Bill 315, the Artificial Intelligence Safety Measures Act, which is being called the strongest state AI safety law in the country. Quick definition. A frontier AI model just means the largest, most capable AI systems being built today, not smaller everyday tools. The law requires developers of these frontier models to publish transparency frameworks showing how they test capabilities and manage catastrophic risks. Most notably, Illinois is now the first state to require annual independent third-party audits of these systems, meaning outside experts, not the companies themselves, have to check the AI safety and bias. It's bipartisan, but it also adds another piece to a growing patchwork of different state AI rules across America. Moving on to the European Union, the European Commission adopted a new action plan addressing how advanced AI intersects with cybersecurity. It's built on three pillars: making frontier AI models safe and usable for cyber defense, preparing the EU's own cybersecurity ecosystem, and scaling up Europe's homegrown AI capability. Rather than writing brand new laws, the plan leans on existing rules already on the books, like the NIS2 directive and the Cyber Resilience Act. One detail worth noting: the plan explicitly seeks structured access to advanced AI models, reflecting concerns in Brussels about depending too heavily on AI systems built outside Europe. Staying on in Europe, a new driver safety rule took effect this week. Every newly registered vehicle across the EU must now include built-in AI-powered distraction detection. Here's how it works. Onboard cameras use computer vision, meaning the AI analyzes video in real time to track where the driver is looking and how the head is moving, so it can catch dangerous movements of inattention, like nodding off or looking at a. But there is also a built-in privacy protection. By law, the systems cannot record, store, or transmit that video to police or any government agency. So the AI is watching for safety, not surveillance. Here is a more technical one. The Federal Trade Commission issued a proposed policy statement about AI companies adjusting its outputs to comply with different state laws. In plain terms, if a company quietly changes what its AI tells users in one state to comply with Colorado's Artificial Intelligence Act, but does not disclose that it's doing so. The FTC says they could count that as deceiving consumers under Section 5 of the FTC Act, the federal law against unfair or deception practices. Practically, this nudges the country towards one federal standard instead of 50 different state rules. And it means AI companies now need to be carefully documenting every tweak they make to a model's answers to satisfy local laws. Next one, a bipartisan group of senators, Brian Schatz, John Curtis, and Mark Warner, introduced the AI Labeling Act of 2026. It would require companies that build generative AI tools to embed watermarks in everything they generate: audio, video, and images. And it's not just a visible label, it also has to be machine readable, telling other software that this content was AI made, even if a human can't tell. The goal is to slow the spread of deepfakes and algorithmic misinformation. If this becomes law, it could create a significant new technical and auditing requirements for consumer tech companies. Senator Edward Markey published a legislative roadmap called the AI Accountability Agenda, taking power back from big tech. It bundles together several proposed bills. The No Robot Bosses Act would ban companies from letting AI make hiring or firing decisions without human review. The Stop Spying Bosses Act would limit how much employers can use algorithms to monitor workers. And the AI Civil Rights Act would ban discriminatory AI profiling. None of these are law yet, but together they show where a significant part of the Congress wants to take workplace AI regulation next. On a more helpful note, a bipartisan group of representatives, Michael McCall, Amy Vera, and Mike Kelly, introduced the Accelerating Innovation in Medicine for Kids with Cancer Act. It builds on earlier executive actions and would fund the use of AI in pediatric oncology, specifically for organizing clinical data and matching young patients to clinical trials. In simple terms, the goal is to use data analysis models to predict how a child might respond to an experimental treatment and to make it easier for hospitals to share research data with each other, which could meaningfully speed up how fast new childhood cancer treatments reach patients. Turning to global AI governance, the United Nations held its first ever global dialogue on AI governance in Geneva. Governments, private companies, and international institutions all sat down together following encouragements from the UN General Assembly. The conversation centered on governance frameworks, workforce skills, and technical standards, all aimed at making sure AI development actually serves humanity broadly, not just a handful of companies or countries. This marks a genuine first step towards coordinated, multilateral AI policy at the UN level. Google announced a new applied AI lab in Accra, Ghana, aimed at empowering local software developers and researchers. It gives them early access to Google's foundation models and direct technical training from Google's own engineering teams. This lab is focused on building AI tools tailored to the region: agriculture planning, addressing healthcare shortages, and improving technology for local languages. This is part of a broader push to make African innovators have a real seat at the table in global AI development, not just as users of tools built elsewhere. At the AI for Good Global Summit in Geneva, 59 AI projects were honored under the Innovate for Impact initiative, spanning health, education, climate, and inclusion across dozens of countries. The Innovation Factory category recognized practical tools, including smartphone-based payment solutions in Africa, which we'll actually dig into a little later in the show. The summit also handed out impact awards and pushed forward standards for responsible AI deployments, with a real emphasis on youth-led initiatives. Coming up, we'll spend some time on individual real-world stories tied to exactly this kind of work. So hang on for a minute while we get there. One research story to close out the news portion. Computer vision researchers combined GPT images 2 with a framework called Aleph 2.0 to hit a real technical milestone. Here is what it does in plain language. Imagine you want to change the color of a car in a video. Normally, an editor will have to redraw that car in every single frame by hand. With this system, you make the edit once on a single tiny or still image, and the AI automatically propagates, meaning it copies and adapts the same change across every frame of the video, keeping it consistent as the car moves and the camera angle shifts. This automates work that used to take editors hours, which could significantly lower the cost of visual effects for film and marketing. Now, for a segment we love running, real stories of AI helping individuals and small organizations tied to the AI for Good initiative. First, Nearpay. It turns an ordinary smartphone into a secure payment terminal so small business owners in underserved parts of Africa can accept digital payments without buying expensive hardware, boosting financial inclusion at the grassroots level. Next, diversity, an AI tool built specifically to give mental health support to neurodiverse teenagers and their caregivers. Then, the Robotics for Good Youth Challenge, where students teams from more than 40 countries built open source AI and robotics projects to solve problems in their own communities. The AI for Good Film Festival recognized independent filmmakers using AI to make award winning films like Plastic Erosion, raising environmental awareness. And finally, joint publications from the ITU, World Health Organization, and World Intellectual Property Organization explored how AI can improve medical diagnostics while respecting and preserving traditional medicine knowledge. Five more stories. In Sub-Saharan Africa, rural clinics facing severe staffing shortages are using the Horizon 1000 partnerships AI tools to build nurses triage patients, translate local dialects, and organize intake, which has measurably reduced wait times for diagnosis and treatment. In the UK, a new animal kindness index found that 10% of surveyed pet owners and Good Samaritans are now using AI chatbots to get step by step first aid guidance for injured wildlife before a veterinarian can arrive. At Advent Health, next, the voice to text AI now automatically formats patient charts during consultations, giving nurses back hours of time every shift and easing burnout. Independent digital safety volunteers are using AI classifiers to detect and report synthetic animal cruelty videos online, protecting both animals and platforms. And families are increasingly using AI symptom checkers at home for minor illnesses, which is keeping emergency rooms free for the patients who truly need them. And that wraps up the AI Weekly Report. To recap the big picture, AI models are getting more specialized and more agentic. The infrastructure race behind AI is accelerating with new chips and record breaking funding. And regulators from Illinois to Brussels to Washington are all racing to keep up with the change that is happening all around the world. But underneath all of that, real people in small clinics, small businesses, and volunteers teams around the world are already putting this technology to work in ways that are genuinely helping their communities. That is the story worth remembering. Thank you for watching. Stay curious, and we'll see you next week.